The security camera in the northeast stairwell of Meridian Tower had been broken for 3 weeks. Facilities kept pushing the repair order down the priority list because nobody used those stairs anyway. The executive floors had private elevators. The lower floors had the main bank. The northeast stairwell was a forgotten artery in a building that pulsed with $800 million of annual revenue. Tonight, that broken camera was the only reason Alexandra Chun was still alive. She ran. Her Louboutin heels echoed against concrete, each step a gunshot of sound that announced her position to anyone listening. Her hands shook so violently she could barely grip the metal railing. Behind her, 3 floors up, a door crashed open. Heavy footsteps followed. Not running, walking. He didn't need to run because he knew she was trapped. Alexandra's breath came in ragged gasps that burned her throat. Her designer skirt restricted her stride. Her silk blouse clung to her back with cold sweat. She was the CEO of Meridian Capital Management. She had negotiated billion-dollar acquisitions without flinching. She had stared down hostile boards and predatory investors. She had built an empire on her ability to stay calm under pressure. But Marcus Hale had found her unlisted cell number. He had sent photos of her apartment building, her morning coffee shop, her daughter's school. He had written messages that started with admiration and ended with ownership. And when she finally got the restraining order, when she finally said no loudly enough that the law heard her, he had simply smiled and said, "You can't hide from me, Alexandra. I know every place you go." Tonight, he had proven it. She had been working late, alone in her corner office on the 43rd floor. Standard procedure. Her assistant had left at 6. Security made rounds every 2 hours. She had felt safe behind locked doors and key card access. Then the lights went out. Not a power failure. Just her floor. Just the executive suite. And in the darkness, she heard his voice through her office door. Calm. Patient. Inevitable. "Alexandra, we need to talk." She had run. Now she was 12 floors down with 6 more to go before she reached the lobby, before she reached people and cameras and safety. Her lungs screamed. Her legs trembled. She wanted to stop, wanted to collapse, wanted to wake up and discover this was just another nightmare. The footsteps above her never stopped, never hurried, just kept coming with the patience of someone who had all night. Floor 31. The door was locked from the inside. She yanked the handle uselessly. Floor 30. Locked. Floor 29. She threw her weight against it and nearly sobbed when it didn't move. He was 2 flights above her now. She could hear him humming something soft and tuneless. Floor 28. The handle turned. Alexandra burst through the door into a dimly lit corridor. The executive floors were dark and silent, but here the building showed signs of life. Fluorescent lights hummed. A cleaning cart sat abandoned near the elevators. Somewhere, a vacuum cleaner droned. She ran toward the sound, her heels clicking on polished tile. Her vision blurred with tears. She rounded a corner and saw him. A man in a navy blue maintenance uniform knelt beside an electrical panel, a flashlight between his teeth, tools spread on the floor. He looked up as she appeared, startled by the sound of running footsteps. Their eyes met. Alexandra saw a man in his mid-30s with dark hair going gray at the temples, tired eyes, rough hands. A janitor. Someone who would be invisible in her world. Someone she would normally pass without seeing. Behind her, the stairwell door opened. "Alexandra." Marcus Hale's voice was silk over steel. "There you are." She didn't think, didn't plan, didn't calculate. For the first time in 20 years, Alexandra Chun acted on pure instinct. She ran to the janitor, grabbed his shirt with both hands, and pulled him to his feet. "Kiss me right now," she gasped. "Please, I'm begging you. Kiss me right now, or I'm dead." The janitor's eyes widened. He looked at her face, tear-streaked and terrified, then past her shoulder where Marcus stood watching from 20 feet away. "Please," Alexandra whispered. "He won't stop. He won't leave. If he thinks I'm with someone, if he thinks." She didn't finish the sentence. The janitor's hand came up to cup her face, gentle despite the calluses. His other arm wrapped around her waist, steady and sure. And then he kissed her. It wasn't passionate. It wasn't romantic. It was protective, a shield made of flesh and breath, and the unmistakable message: she belongs to someone. Alexandra melted into him, her hands clutching his shirt like a lifeline. She felt his heartbeat, strong and steady against her chest. She smelled soap and coffee and something clean she couldn't name. For 5 seconds, she existed in a pocket of safety she hadn't felt in months. When he pulled back, his expression was calm, controlled. He looked past her to Marcus with eyes that had seen violence and chosen not to flinch. "Can I help you?" His voice was quiet but carried weight. Marcus stood motionless. His expensive suit fit perfectly. His hair was styled with precision. He looked like a man who belonged in executive corridors, who made 7 figures and drove German cars. But his eyes were wrong. Flat. Empty. The eyes of someone who had stopped seeing other people as real. "I'm talking to my girlfriend," Marcus said with a smile that didn't reach those dead eyes. "No." The janitor's voice didn't rise. "You're talking to my wife." If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Alexandra felt the janitor's arm tighten around her waist, a silent message: play along. "Baby," she said, her voice shaking but following his lead. "I told you I was working late. I'm sorry I didn't call." Marcus's smile widened. It was the kind of smile that made Alexandra's skin crawl. "That's funny, because I've been watching you for 6 months, Alexandra, and I've never seen this man before." "That's because you're a stalker with a restraining order," the janitor said calmly. "And security is already on their way." Marcus's expression flickered, just for a second. Then the smile returned. "Security? Here? On floor 28 at 9:30 at night?" He took a step forward. "I don't think so." The janitor moved faster than Alexandra expected. He shifted her behind him with one smooth motion, positioning his body as a barrier. His stance was different now. Balanced. Ready. This was not a man who cleaned floors and fixed lights. This was someone who knew how to fight. "Stop," the janitor said. One word. Absolute. Marcus stopped. They stood in tableau for 3 heartbeats. The vacuum cleaner droned in the distance. The fluorescent lights hummed. Alexandra pressed against the janitor's back, feeling the tension coiled in his muscles. Then Marcus laughed, a sound with no humor in it. "You know what? Fine. Have her." He straightened his tie with deliberate precision. "But Alexandra, you can't hide forever. And eventually he paused, mockery dripping from the word. "Husband won't be around to save you." He turned and walked toward the elevators. Pressed the button. Waited with his hands in his pockets, whistling that same tuneless melody. When the doors opened, he stepped inside and turned to face them. "See you soon, Alexandra." The doors closed. Alexandra's knees buckled. The janitor caught her before she hit the floor, lowering her gently until she sat with her back against the wall. She couldn't stop shaking, couldn't catch her breath. Her carefully constructed composure, the armor she wore every day to survive in a world that wanted to see her fail, shattered completely. "You're okay," the janitor said softly. "You're safe. He's gone." "He's not gone," Alexandra gasped. "He's never gone. He's always there, watching, waiting. I can't. Breathe." The janitor knelt in front of her, his eyes level with hers. "In through your nose. 4 counts. Hold it. Out through your mouth. 4 counts. With me. Ready." He breathed with her. Slow. Steady. A rhythm that cut through the panic. Alexandra followed. Once. Twice. 10 times. The shaking subsided. Her vision cleared. "There you go," he said. "You're okay." She looked at him. Really looked. He had a strong jaw shadowed with stubble. Lines around his eyes that spoke of sleepless nights and hard-won wisdom. A scar through his left eyebrow. His hands, resting on his knees, were scarred too. Old burns. Recent cuts. The hands of someone who worked with them every day. "Thank you," she whispered. I can't thank you." "Don't thank me yet." He stood and pulled out his phone. "We need to call the police. Get this documented. Do you have a restraining order with you?" Alexandra nodded numbly. Her purse. Where was her purse? She had dropped it somewhere. The office? The stairwell? "It's in my office," she said. 43rd floor. Okay, we'll get it. But first, he made the call. Calm, efficient, gave their location and a brief description of events. When he hung up, he sat down on the floor beside her, keeping a respectful distance. They'll be here in 10 minutes. Building security is coming up now. He cut the power, Alexandra said. On my floor. He was waiting for me. The janitor's jaw tightened. You know him? Marcus Hale. She stopped. How did you explain? How did you tell a stranger that a successful venture capitalist had decided you belonged to him? That he had escalated from emails to gifts to threats to breaking into your building? He's been stalking me for 7 months. I filed a restraining order 3 weeks ago. It didn't stop him. They rarely do. Something in his voice suggested personal knowledge. Did he touch you? Physically? No, not tonight. He followed me. Trapped me. I ran. Smart. The janitor looked at her with something like approval. You didn't freeze. You ran. You found help. That's smart. Alexandra almost laughed. It came out as a sound somewhere between a sob and a gasp. I'm the CEO of a $2 billion company. I negotiate with sharks every day. And tonight, I ran through a stairwell like a terrified animal. Tonight you survived, he corrected. That's not a weakness. That's strength. She stared at him. This man in a maintenance uniform with grease under his fingernails and exhaustion carved into his face. This stranger who had kissed her because she begged him to. Who had stood between her and a monster without hesitation. Who was sitting beside her on a corporate hallway floor at 9:30 at night like it was the most natural thing in the world. What's your name? She asked. Daniel. Daniel Torres. Alexandra Chun, CEO, Meridian Capital Management. I know. He smiled slightly. Your picture is in the lobby, right? Of course. Her professional headshot, carefully staged to project authority and competence. Hair pulled back. Power suit. The mask she wore for the world. Thank you, Daniel. She meant it. More than she could express. Don't thank me for doing what any decent person would do. Most decent people wouldn't have. Alexandra closed her eyes. Most people would have looked away, called security from a distance, not gotten involved. You didn't hesitate. Daniel was quiet for a moment. I have a daughter, he said finally. She's 8, and I think about what I'd want someone to do if she ever needed help, if she was ever scared. So I try to be that person. Alexandra's throat tightened. What's her name? Sophia. Does she live with you? Yeah, just the two of us. His voice carried old grief, carefully managed. Her mom passed away 4 years ago. Cancer. I'm sorry. Me too. He checked his phone. Security should be here any second. Police right behind them. As if summoned, the elevator chimed. 2 security guards emerged, hands on their radios, scanning for threats. When they saw Alexandra on the floor, their professionalism cracked into concern. Ms. Chun, are you hurt? What happened? Daniel stood and offered her his hand. Alexandra took it, letting him pull her to her feet. Her legs were steadier now. The panic had receded, leaving behind exhaustion and a strange sense of unreality. Marcus Hale was in the building, she said, forcing her voice to steady. He cut power to the executive floor and followed me into the stairwell. This man, Daniel, he helped me. The guards exchanged glances. One of them, an older man named Patterson who had worked the building for 15 years, looked grim. The restraining order didn't stop him. We'll pull all the footage. Get a timeline. How did he get past US? I don't know. Alexandra felt the weight of it settling on her shoulders. Marcus had gotten into a secure building, had accessed restricted floors, had hunted her through empty corridors while security sat oblivious in the lobby. But he did. Patterson's radio crackled. Police are here, Pat. Sending them up. The next hour blurred. Statements taken. Footage reviewed, though the northeast stairwell remained a blind spot. Her office examined the breaker panel, showing clear evidence of tampering. Marcus Hale's face flagged in every database, every alert system. An escort arranged to take her home. Recommendations for private security delivered with bureaucratic sympathy. Through it all, Daniel stayed. Not hovering, not intrusive, just present. He answered questions when asked. Confirmed details. provided his contact information. And when the police finally finished with Alexandra and suggested she not stay in her apartment tonight, he spoke up. Do you have somewhere safe to go? Alexandra thought of her apartment. 15th floor, doorman building, supposedly secure. But Marcus had her address, had sent flowers to her door, had stood on the sidewalk below her windows. I have a friend in Connecticut, she said. I can call her. It's after 11. Daniel hesitated. If you need time to arrange something, you could wait at the precinct. Or, he stopped. Or what? My daughter's at my sister's place tonight. Sleepover with her cousins. My apartment's not much, but it's got a deadbolt and a neighbor who's a retired cop. And nobody knows you're connected to me. Alexandra stared at him. This stranger was offering her sanctuary in his home. It was possibly the kindest, most trusting, most insane thing anyone had ever offered her. It was also exactly what she needed. Are you sure? She asked quietly. Daniel met her eyes. I'm sure. Then yes. Thank you. Yes. Daniel's apartment was in Queens. A 5th-floor walk-up in a building that had seen better decades, but maintained a scrappy dignity. The lobby smelled like somebody's dinner, garlic and tomatoes and warmth. A radio played salsa music from behind a closed door. Somewhere a baby cried, and a voice crooned soft comfort. It was nothing like Alexandra's world of marble lobbies and private elevators and silence, so profound it felt like judgment. It felt real. Daniel unlocked 3 separate locks on his door, a detail Alexandra had noticed with grateful approval. Inside, the apartment was small but clean. A living room with a couch that had been repaired with duct tape. A kitchen the size of a closet. 2 bedrooms visible down a short hallway. 1 door covered in crayon drawings and princess stickers. Sophia's room, Daniel said, following her gaze. Mine's the other one. You can have my bed. I'll take the couch. I can't. You can. It's fine. Really. He moved to the kitchen. Do you want tea? Coffee? I've got. He opened a cabinet. Options that are mostly tea or coffee. Alexandra almost smiled. Tea would be good. While he filled a kettle, she looked around. The apartment told stories. Framed crayon drawings on the walls, signed by Sophia in careful letters. A bookshelf stuffed with paperbacks and children's books mixed together. Photographs of a little girl with dark curls and Daniel's eyes, growing from toddler to child. In several photos, a woman appeared. Beautiful. Warm. Gone. That's Maria, Daniel said softly from the kitchen. Sophia's mom. My wife. She was lovely. She was everything. He set 2 mugs on the counter. Cancer's efficient. 11 months from diagnosis to, he stopped. She made me promise to keep going. For Sophia. So that's what I do. Alexandra understood promises made to the dying. She had made her own to her father before his stroke took him. Build something that matters. Don't let them tell you no. Prove that a woman can lead just as well as any man. She had built Meridian Capital from nothing. Had proven everyone wrong. Had sacrificed relationships, health, sleep, joy. And tonight, she had run through a stairwell begging a stranger to kiss her so a stalker would leave her alone. How did you know what to do? She asked. Back there. You moved like you've handled situations like that before. Daniel poured hot water over tea bags. I was a cop. NYPD. Worked a patrol in Brooklyn. Then transferred to a special unit that handled domestic violence cases, stalking, harassment. He handed her a mug. Saw a lot of Marcus Hales. Different names, same pattern. Why did you leave? Maria got sick. The hours, the stress. I couldn't do both. Be there for her and Sophia, and keep that job. So I left. He said it simply, as if giving up a career was just another necessary choice. After she died, I needed something with flexible hours. Something where I could be home when Sophia needed me. Maintenance work fits. I do nights mostly, weekends when my sister can watch Sophia. It's not glamorous, but lets me be her dad. Alexandra held the warm mug and felt something crack inside her chest. This man had given up everything. Had walked away from a career, a purpose, probably a decent salary and benefits. Had taken a job cleaning other people's offices so he could raise his daughter alone. And tonight, without knowing her, without owing her anything, he had stepped between her and danger. You saved my life tonight, she said quietly. I kissed you and made a stalker back off. That's not. Yes, it is. Alexandra looked at him directly. He would have followed me into that stairwell. Would have cornered me somewhere nobody could see. Would have. She stopped, unable to say the words. You saved my life. Daniel was quiet for a long moment. Then I'm glad I was there. They drank their tea in silence. Comfortable. Strange. Two people whose lives should never have intersected, sitting in a small kitchen in Queens at midnight, connected by violence and kindness. You should sleep, Daniel finally said. It's late. You're exhausted. Alexandra nodded, but didn't move. What if he finds me here? He won't. Nobody knows you're here. And Daniel gestured around the apartment. I'm not exactly on the radar of someone who tracks CEOs. You're safe. I promise. How can you promise that? Because I'm a light sleeper. Because my neighbor Ray is a retired cop who sleeps with his door cracked and his phone on the nightstand. And because his voice dropped. I've seen what men like Marcus Hale do to women, and I will not let that happen in my home. The certainty in his voice was absolute. Not bravado, not performance. Simple truth. Alexandra believed him. She stood. Thank you, Daniel. For everything. Try to sleep. We'll figure out next steps in the morning. His bedroom was small, neat. A double bed with a faded blue comforter. A dresser with a photograph of Sophia and Maria. A stack of books on a nightstand, thrillers and parenting guides mixed together. Alexandra sat on the edge of the bed and finally let herself cry. Not the panicked tears of the stairwell. These were different. Release. Exhaustion. Relief. She cried for the woman she had been 6 hours ago, confident in her safety. She cried for the illusion of control that had been shattered. She cried because a stranger had shown her more kindness in one night than most people in her life showed in years. When the tears finally stopped, she lay down fully clothed on top of the covers. The pillow smelled like laundry detergent and something else, something masculine and clean. Through the thin walls, she could hear Daniel moving around the living room, settling on the couch. Alexandra closed her eyes and slept. Morning arrived with the sound of a door opening and a child's voice, bright with confusion. Daddy? Why are you sleeping on the couch? Did you fall asleep watching TV again? Alexandra woke instantly, disoriented. Unfamiliar room. Unfamiliar bed. Light streaming through curtains that weren't hers. For 3 seconds, panic flared. Then the memory crashed back. Marcus. The stairwell. Daniel. She was in Daniel Torres's bedroom. In Queens. Safe. Soft. Keep your voice down, Daniel said softly from the living room. We have a guest. A guest? Who? A friend from work. She needed a place to stay last night. She's sleeping in my room. Is she nice? Very nice. But she had a hard night. Let her sleep? Okay. Okay. A pause. Daddy, are you in trouble? No, baby. I'm not in trouble. I helped someone who needed help. That's all. Alexandra sat up slowly. Her designer clothes were wrinkled beyond repair. Her hair had escaped its careful pins. She looked like she had been through a crisis, which was accurate. Through the closed door, she could hear Sophia's voice drop to a stage whisper. Is she pretty? Sophia. What? I'm just asking. Go brush your teeth. Breakfast in 10 minutes. Small footsteps padded down the hallway. Alexandra stood and caught her reflection in the mirror above the dresser. The woman looking back was a stranger. No makeup, no armor, just exhaustion and vulnerability she usually buried under layers of professional competence. She opened the bedroom door carefully. Daniel stood in the kitchen, cracking eggs into a bowl. He had changed into jeans and a faded NYU t-shirt. His hair was damp from a shower. He looked up when he heard her. Morning. How'd you sleep? Better than I expected. Alexandra stepped into the living room. The couch showed evidence of his night. A pillow, a blanket folded neatly on one end. I'm sorry I took your bed. Don't be. Coffee, please. He poured her a mug, black, and gestured to the small table by the window. Alexandra sat, wrapping her hands around the warm ceramic. Through the window, Queens stretched out in shades of brick and concrete and morning light. Cars honked. People walked dogs. Life continued, ordinary and relentless. Sophie is home, Daniel said, whisking eggs. My sister dropped her off early. She doesn't know what happened. I told her you're a co-worker who needed a place to stay. What does she think you do? Maintenance at an office building. He smiled slightly. Which is true. She knows I used to be a cop, but she was 4 when I left. She doesn't remember much about it. The bathroom door opened and Sophia emerged in unicorn pajamas, her dark curls wild around her face. She stopped when she saw Alexandra, suddenly shy. "Hi," Sophia said. "Hi." Alexandra tried to look non-threatening, which was difficult when you were a stranger in designer clothes sitting in someone's kitchen at 7 in the morning. "You must be Sophia." "I'm Alexandra. Are you my dad's friend?" "I am now." Sophia considered this with the seriousness of an 8-year-old evaluating an important claim. "Do you like pancakes?" "I do." "Then you can stay for breakfast." Sophia climbed into the chair across from Alexandra. "Daddy makes the best pancakes. He puts chocolate chips in them, but only on weekends because sugar during the week makes me hyper." "Sophia," Daniel warned gently. "What?" "It's true. You said so." Alexandra felt something ease in her chest. The normalcy of it. A child negotiating breakfast rules. A father cooking eggs. Morning light and coffee and the comfortable chaos of a home where people actually lived. "What kind of work do you do?" Sophia asked with the blunt curiosity of childhood. "I help companies with their money, making sure they use it wisely." "Are you rich?" "Sophia." "It's okay," Alexander said. "Yes, I have money." "Do you live in a big house?" "I live in an apartment. It's bigger than this one, but it doesn't have as many drawings on the walls." Sophia brightened. "I made all of those. That one's a dragon. That one's my mom. She's in heaven now. That one's daddy when he's being silly." Alexandra looked at the crayon drawings with new understanding. A child's attempt to capture her world, to make permanent the people and things that mattered. Her father's face, exaggerated and smiling. Her mother's face, carefully detailed, a treasured memory. "They're beautiful," Alexandra said, and meant it. Daniel brought over plates. Scrambled eggs, toast, orange juice for Sophia. The 3 of them ate in companionable silence until Sophia spoke again. "Are you sad?" Alexandra looked up, caught off guard. "Why do you ask?" "You have sad eyes, like Daddy had after Mommy died." Daniel set down his fork. "Soft." "It's okay," Alexandra said softly. She met Sophia's gaze, those dark eyes that saw more than adults wanted them to see. "Yes, I'm sad. Something scary happened, and your dad helped me. He kept me safe." Sophia nodded, as if this made perfect sense. "Daddy's good at keeping people safe. That's why he was a police officer. Now he keeps the building safe so people can work there." The simple pride in her voice was devastating. This child saw her father's sacrifice not as a demotion, but as continued purpose. Daniel had somehow managed to frame his career change as service rather than loss. "Your dad is very brave," Alexander said. "I know." Sophia took a bite of eggs. "Are you going to be okay now?" "I think so." "Good." Sophia finished her breakfast and carried her plate to the sink with practiced efficiency. "I'm going to get dressed." "Daddy, can we go to the park later?" "We'll see, baby." "That means maybe." Sophia looked at Alexandra. "It was nice meeting you, Alexandra. I hope the scary thing gets better." She disappeared into her bedroom. Daniel and Alexandra sat in the sudden quiet. "She's remarkable," Alexandra said. "She's everything." Daniel collected the plates. "After Maria died, I thought, I didn't know how I'd do this alone. But kids are resilient in ways adults forget to be." She adapted. She helped me adapt. We figured it out together. Alexandra watched him wash dishes with economical movements. A man who had learned to do everything efficiently because there was no one else to share the load. Cook, clean, comfort, protect. He carried all of it without complaint. "I need to figure out my next steps," Alexandra said. "I can't hide here forever." "No, but you can hide here until we have a plan." Daniel dried his hands and sat back down. "Let's think this through. Marcus got into your building last night. That means either he has access credentials or he's paying someone who does. Your apartment's not safe. Your office isn't safe. What about other locations? Family? Friends?" Alexandra thought. Her mother lived in California, remarried, distant. No siblings. Her social circle consisted mostly of business associates and professional connections. People she networked with, not people she trusted. I have a friend in Connecticut, Catherine. We went to college together. I could stay with her for a few days. That's good, but it's not a long-term solution. Daniel leaned forward. You need private security. Professional, vetted, experienced with stalking cases. I can give you names of people I worked with, guys who went private after leaving the force. They're good. They're thorough. That'll take time to arrange. Then you stay here until it's arranged. He said it simply, as if offering his home to a stranger was perfectly reasonable. Sophia likes you. Ray next door is a paranoid ex-cop who watches everything. Nobody in this building knows who you are. It's as safe as anywhere right now. Alexandra wanted to argue, wanted to say she couldn't impose, couldn't put him and Sophia at risk, couldn't accept this extraordinary kindness from someone she'd known for less than 12 hours. But she was tired and scared, and for the first time in her adult life, she didn't have all the answers. Okay, she said quietly. Thank you. Daniel nodded. First thing we need to do is get you some clothes. You can't wear a business suit all day. Sophia's stuff won't fit, but my sister's about your size. I'll call her. I can buy. Not yet. If you use your credit cards, there's a trail. Marcus might have ways of tracking that. He pulled out his phone. Let me handle this part. You've been handling everything alone for too long. The words landed with unexpected weight. He was right. Alexandra Chun, CEO, had spent 20 years handling everything alone, building a company without partners, making decisions without consultation, carrying the weight without sharing it, because that was what leaders did. And last night, that isolation had nearly killed her. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. Daniel's sister Carmen arrived an hour later with a duffel bag of clothes and enough questions to fill a book. She was shorter than Daniel, round-faced, with the same dark eyes and ready smile. She took one look at Alexandra and understood immediately that this was not a simple favor. Danny, she said quietly while Alexandra was in the bathroom changing. What's going on? She's in trouble. Serious trouble. I helped her. Now I'm making sure she stays safe. Who is she? Someone who needed help. Carmen studied with her brother. You can't save everyone, Danny. I'm not trying to save everyone. Just her. Why? Daniel was quiet for a moment. Because when I saw her last night, she looked the way Maria looked that day in the hospital. Terrified. Trapped. Like the world was closing in and there was nowhere safe left to run. His voice roughened. I couldn't help Maria. The cancer was bigger than anything I could fight. But this I can help with. Carmen's expression softened. She touched his arm gently. Okay, but be careful. Getting involved in other people's danger can bring that danger home. I know. Sophia. We'll be fine. I promise. When Alexandra emerged in jeans and a sweater that fit reasonably well, Carmen smiled warmly. Better. Much. Thank you. De nada. Danny says you need a place to stay for a bit. Mi casa, su casa, and all that. I'll pay. You'll pay nothing. Carmen's voice was firm but kind. Danny helped you. That means family helps you. That's how we do things. Alexandra felt her throat tighten. These people, these strangers, were offering unconditional support without knowing her, without expecting anything back, simply because Daniel had decided she was worth protecting. It was so far outside her experience, she didn't have words for it. Thank you, she managed. Carmen left with promises to check in later. Daniel made coffee, and they sat at the small table, plotting strategy like generals preparing for battle. You need to document everything, Daniel said. Every message, every sighting, every time Marcus violated the restraining order. Build a case so thorough the police can't ignore it. I have most of it already. Emails, texts, photos he sent. Good. We'll add last night's incident. The tampering with your building's electrical system, the security footage, witness statements. Make it impossible for anyone to claim this isn't serious. Alexandra pulled out her phone. 17 missed calls. 42 texts. Most from her assistant, panicking about her absence. 3 from her board chair, demanding to know where she was. and 5 from a number she didn't recognize. She opened the messages from the unknown number. You looked beautiful running through those stairs. I've never seen you scare before. It suits you. Your husband can't protect you forever. I'll be seeing you soon, Alexandra. Count on it. Her hand shook. Daniel leaned over, read the messages, and his jaw set. Forward those to me, and to the detective handling your case. This is escalation. He's not even trying to hide anymore. He thinks he's untouchable. He's not. Men like Marcus? They escalate until they make a mistake. We just need to make sure that when he makes it, we're ready. Daniel's phone rang at 2:47 a.m., 3 nights after Alexandra had moved into his apartment. He was awake immediately, years of cop instincts and single-parent hypervigilance pulling him from sleep to full alertness in seconds. Torres. Daniel, it's Ray. His neighbor's voice was quiet but urgent. There's a car outside. Black Mercedes. Been circling the block for 20 minutes. Just parked across the street. Driver still inside. Daniel was already moving, pulling on jeans, checking that Sophia's door was closed. Can you see the plate? Too dark. But Danny? The guy keeps looking up at your building. Call in. Suspicious vehicle. Possible stalking situation. Give them my name. Tell them Detective Morrison at the 6th knows the case. Already dialing. Daniel ended the call and moved to the living room where Alexandra slept on the couch. She had insisted 3 days ago, refusing to take his bed any longer. They'd argued. She'd won through sheer stubborn determination, a quality he was learning she possessed in abundance. Alexandra. He touched her shoulder gently. She woke instantly, already tense. What's wrong? Possible situation outside. Black Mercedes, circling the building. Could be nothing. It's him. Not a question. Certainty. Maybe. Ray called it in. Police are coming. But we need to be ready to move if. The building's fire alarm erupted into shrieking chaos. Daniel's blood went cold. Fire alarms at 3 a.m. in a residential building meant one of two things. Actual fire, or someone pulling it to force people outside. Into the open. Into vulnerability. Get Sophia, Alexandra said, already on her feet. Now. They moved together. Daniel burst into Sophia's room, scooping his daughter from bed. She woke crying, confused, frightened by the sound. Alexandra grabbed the emergency bag Daniel kept by the door. Ex-cop habits died hard, and they were out in the hallway in seconds. Other doors opened. Neighbors emerged in pajamas and confusion. Mrs. Chun from 5C, elderly and slow. The college kids from 5B, hungover and annoyed. Ray appeared, fully dressed despite the hour, gun visible in a shoulder holster. No smoke, Ray said immediately. No heat. This is a pull. Marcus, Alexandra breathed. Who the hell is Marcus? Ray demanded. Later. Right now we need to get everyone out safely and keep Alexandra away from the street. Daniel's mind raced through scenarios, tactical options learned in training and refined through experience. Ray, can you escort the building out the back entrance? Through the alley, already on it, Ray moved to organize the confused residents. Everyone listen up. We're evacuating through the back, single file, calm, and orderly. Daniel turned to Alexandra. Stay between me and Ray. Keep your head down. Sophia, baby, I need you to be brave for me. Close your eyes and hold on tight. Sophia buried her face in his neck, trembling. They moved down the stairs with the crowd, Ray leading, Daniel bringing up the rear with Alexandra pressed close behind him. His eyes scanned every shadow, every corner, every place someone could hide. The back alley was narrow and dark, lit by a single flickering bulb. Residents huddled together, shivering in their night clothes. Sirens approached from multiple directions, police and fire both. Danny, Ray's voice was low, urgent. The Mercedes is gone. Daniel's instinct screamed. He pulled the alarm to flush us out, then left, or to create chaos while he... The explosion wasn't large, but in the contained space of the alley, it was deafening. The dumpster 20 feet away erupted in flame, sending residents screaming and scattering. In the chaos, Daniel saw him. Marcus Hale emerged from the shadows like he'd been waiting there all along. Expensive coat, perfect hair, dead eyes fixed on Alexandra. "Hello, Alexandra." Daniel moved faster than thought, positioning Sophia behind him and Alexandra behind her, creating a human shield. "You need to leave. Now." Marcus smiled. That same empty smile from the hallway 3 nights ago. "I'm not breaking any laws. I'm simply in an alley during a building evacuation." "Coincidence. You pulled a fire alarm and set a fire. That's arson, false alarm, and reckless endangerment." "Prove it." Marcus's attention never left Alexandra. "We need to talk, Alexandra. Privately." "She's not going anywhere with you." Daniel's voice dropped into the tone he'd used on Brooklyn streets when de-escalating volatile situations. "Calm. Absolute. Dangerous. And who are you exactly?" "The janitor who pretends to be her husband." Marcus took a step closer. "Did you really think that would stop me? That I'd just accept some working-class nobody standing between me and what's mine?" "She's not yours. She's never been yours. She's a human being who wants nothing to do with you. You don't understand." Marcus's voice took on the fervent quality of someone explaining a self-evident truth to a fool. "Alexandra and I have a connection. A destiny. I've invested months in her. Watched her. Learned her patterns. Everything she does, everywhere she goes, I'm there. Do you know how rare that kind of dedication is?" "That's not dedication," Daniel said quietly. "That's obsession. And it ends tonight." Police officers poured into the alley, weapons drawn, shouting commands. Fire trucks blocked both exits. Ray was already directing them toward Marcus, explaining the situation with the efficient shorthand of one cop to others. Marcus looked at the closing circle of law enforcement and laughed. That same humorless sound. "You really think this changes anything? I have lawyers, Alexandra. Good ones. The best money can buy. I'll be out in hours. And when I am, I'll come find you again, and again, and again, because you're mine and nothing. Not restraining orders, not police, not your pretend husband. Will change that." Detective Morrison, who had been handling Alexandra's case, stepped forward. "Marcus Hale, you're under arrest for stalking, harassment, violation of a restraining order, arson, false alarm, and reckless endangerment. You have the right to remain silent." As they cuffed him, Marcus's eyes never left Alexandra. "I'll see you soon." "No," Alexandra said, stepping out from behind Daniel, voice steady despite her trembling hands. "You won't, because I'm done being afraid of you. I'm done hiding. I'm done letting you control my life by threatening to take it. You want to destroy me? Try. I built a company from nothing. I've survived in a world designed to make me fail, and I will not let you break me." Marcus's smile faltered. Just for a second, his mask slipped, and beneath it was something pathetic and small. A man who needed control because without it, he was nothing. They dragged him toward a police car. He fought, screaming Alexandra's name, promising he'd come back, that she couldn't escape him. The promises of a man who had already lost but didn't know it yet. Daniel kept Sophia's face pressed to his shoulder so she wouldn't see, kept his body between his daughter and the ugliness. When the police car doors closed on Marcus's screaming, the alley fell silent except for the crackling flames and the murmur of shaken residents. Alexandra collapsed against the wall, sliding down until she sat on the cold concrete. She wasn't crying. She was breathing, deep, shaking breaths of someone who had just survived. Daniel knelt beside her, Sophia still in his arms. "You okay?" "No." Alexandra looked at him with raw honesty. "But I will be." Ray approached, gun holstered, face grim. "Danny, they found a whole kit in his car. Zip ties, duct tape, a knife. And photos. Hundreds of photos of her. Her apartment building, her office, her coffee shop. This wasn't just stalking. He was planning something worse." Daniel felt sick. If they hadn't been ready. If Ray hadn't been watching. If Marcus had managed to get Alexandra alone. "But he didn't," Alexandra said, reading his expression. "Because you kept me safe. You and Ray and Sophia and this whole building full of people who don't even know me, but helped anyway." Sophia lifted her head from Daniel's shoulder, wiping tears from her eyes. "Is the scary man gone?" "Yes, baby. He's gone. The police have him." "Good." Sophia looked at Alexandra with solemn understanding. You don't have to be scared anymore. No, Alexandra agreed softly. I don't. The aftermath took weeks to sort through. Marcus Hale's arrest revealed a pattern even more disturbing than Alexandra had known. He had stalked 3 other women before her, each case escalating until the women moved away or changed their lives entirely to escape him. He had money and lawyers, but this time he'd gone too far, left too much evidence, hurt too many people. The district attorney built a case designed to ensure he wouldn't hurt anyone else for a very long time. Alexandra moved into a secure apartment building with proper security and protocols that actually worked. She hired private protection, the people Daniel had recommended, professionals who understood stalking cases. She testified against Marcus with the same competence she brought to board meetings, laying out facts with devastating precision. But she also kept showing up at Daniel's apartment, ostensibly to give statements, to coordinate with his testimony, to thank him properly. Really, she came because Sophia asked about her, because Daniel's small kitchen with its crayon drawings and mismatched mugs felt more like home than her penthouse with its designer furniture and silent rooms. Because somewhere between terror and survival, she had found people who saw her as more than a CEO or a target or a thing to be possessed. They saw her as Alexandra. Just Alexandra. And that was worth more than any corner office. 6 months later, Daniel was fixing a broken light fixture on the 43rd floor when Alexandra appeared beside him. Not summoned by panic or emergency. Just there, in tailored slacks and a silk blouse, carrying 2 cups of coffee. You know you can call maintenance to do that, she said, offering him a cup. I am maintenance. Daniel climbed down from the ladder and accepted the coffee. Besides, I'm particular about my work. I've noticed. Alexandra leaned against the wall, watching him with something warm in her expression. Sophia says you're making her costume for the school play. A dragon, apparently. Fire-breathing dragon. Very specific requirements. Green scales, not red. Purple wings, not blue. She's got a whole vision. You're a good father. I try. Daniel sipped his coffee. What brings the CEO to the 43rd floor on a Tuesday afternoon? I wanted to see you. The words hung in the air between them. Simple, honest, loaded with 6 months of dinners at his small table, of Sophia's laughter, of late-night conversations when neither of them could sleep, of friendship that had grown into something neither of them had been looking for. Alexandra, I know this is complicated, she said quickly. I know we met under impossible circumstances. I know there's a power dynamic here that makes everything weird. You work in this building, I run the company. You're a single father. I'm a CEO who works 80 hours a week. There are 1,000 reasons why this doesn't make sense. But Daniel set down his coffee. But I'm tired of making decisions based only on what makes sense. Alexander met his eyes. Marcus is in prison for the next 8 years minimum. I've got security, therapy, and a support system I actually trust. I'm not broken. I'm not vulnerable. I'm not looking for someone to save me. Then what are you looking for? Someone who kisses me because I ask him to, who stands between me and monsters without hesitation, who makes pancakes with chocolate chips on weekends, and who fixes things that are broken because he's particular about his work. She took a breath. I'm looking for you, Daniel. If you want me to. Daniel thought about Sophia, who asked about Alexandra constantly, who drew pictures of the 3 of them together, who said casually last week that she wished Alexandra could stay for breakfast every day, not just sometimes. He thought about the way Alexandra had adapted to their chaotic life, had learned to navigate Sophia's moods and his strange schedule, had shown up for school plays and bedtime stories without being asked. He thought about the fact that she made him laugh, made him think, made him remember that he was more than just Sophia's father, that he was also just Daniel, a man who deserved his own happiness. I want you too, he said quietly, but I need you to understand what you're signing up for. My life isn't corner offices and business acquisitions. It's PDA meetings and chicken nuggets and an 8-year-old who has nightmares and needs her dad at 3 a.m. It's a 5th-floor walk-up in Queens and a budget that doesn't include design or anything. It's Alexandra kissed him. Not desperate this time. Not a performance for a stalker. Just a kiss between two people who had found each other in the worst possible circumstances and somehow decided to keep finding each other every day after. When she pulled back, she was smiling. I think I can handle PDA meetings. And chicken nuggets? I'm a fast learner. And an 8-year-old who will absolutely try to talk you into extra screen time and later bedtimes? I negotiate with hostile takeovers for a living. I think I can handle Sophia. Daniel laughed. Actually laughed, the sound echoing in the empty executive corridor. Okay then, but we take this slow, for Sophia's sake. No rushing, no pressure, just seeing where this goes. Slow sounds perfect. Alexandra picked up her coffee. Although, for the record, I'm taking you both to dinner on Friday. A real restaurant, with cloth napkins and everything. Fancy. You have no idea. She started walking toward the elevators, then paused and looked back. Thank you, Daniel, for everything, for being brave enough to help a stranger, for seeing me when I needed to be seen, for reminding me that sometimes the best things come from the moments when everything falls apart. You're welcome. Daniel watched her go, this brilliant, fierce woman who had crashed into his life asking him to kiss her so she wouldn't die, and who had somehow become essential to his happiness. Same time next week, I got a flickering bulb on 32 that needs attention. It's a date. The elevator doors closed. Daniel went back to his light fixture, but he couldn't stop smiling. Sophia was going to be thrilled. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you love this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.